This is the beginning of season 2 of In the City. For the past couple of months, I've had the chance to interview a lot of interesting people from within the region. And season 2 is kicking off, and I'm very excited to have this person as our first guest, the first episode of the new season of In the City. Now, this guy I've known for several years. I think over the past year, we've grown closer in our relationship. And I think there's a mutual level of respect here. I've respected him from afar from a long time. I've respected and appreciated his artistry and what he does in his craft. And I'm pleased to introduce to a lot of people. For those who do not know him, I think that this interview will give you a good glimpse into who he is, into his life. Let me welcome Ferris Evans Jr. to the show.
Appreciate you.
What's going on, man? I know if we're doing a handshake of the dap. Ferris Evans Jr., June, Ferris, some people call you, but now a lot of people are calling you Pastor.
Pastor June.
Pastor June. So let us into your world. I know you have a new project that's coming out. Before we hit that project, I want to speak a little bit about this transition that you just experienced. For a long time, people knew you primarily in the music realm. What is it now to be called the pastor of a flock of people? How was this different for you? Because more than mixing and producing music, it's almost like you have the soundboard of people's lives. You have to adjust and set the EQ of people's hearts. How was this transition working for you now?
It's been great. It's frightful because although I've been around it all my life, meaning being a pastor's kid all my life, I've seen it, but it's different when you're actually sitting in the seat and when you are the one that God is specifically trusting for this assignment. So it's frightful, but because I trust God, it's been really cool. It's humbling, really humbling, because when I look at, and I say this a lot, when I look at myself, I'm a misfit that God is making fit. I'll never be error-free, mistake-free, but God, he called me to preach. I was mad at him about that. And he assigned me to pastor.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask, because like you said, you grew up in this world. You were a PK, you're a pastor's kid. Your family, the lineage, the Evans family, are known for just being dynamic preachers and pastors. Was this a desire you had growing up to be like one day say, I'm gonna sit in that seat?
You're not even close. I can't understand I can't understand anyone that's ever chased it, because I've had a front row seat, a back seat, a side seat, a set aside seat, because I've seen it, and I've seen my father's tears. I've seen just how it goes down. On social media has made the phrase church hurt very famous, whatever that may be. But if there is such a phrase and such a hurt, I've seen my dad experience it, but I've also seen him be loved. At 4:12 a.m. on January 26, 2004, my father, who's my pastor at the time, was in my living room, and he told me, you do not have to set aside music just because God has called you to preach. Then my uncle Clay, Reverend Clay Evans, he said that they both go hand in hand. And I see myself mirroring him as far as being a singer, being in music, and being a preacher. But he made it very plain years ago, hey, I'm not a singer who preaches. I'm a preacher who sings. He said that years ago.
One of the things I appreciate about you is I can relate to this myself, that you are non-categorical, meaning that you don't fit into one box. You do multiple things, right? And I respect that and appreciate that, because you preach, you sing, you produce, little acting. There's a plethora of things. And so you kind of break that idea that a preacher can only do this,
right?
You know, and I love that. So moving into the music, you've got a new project that's coming out. A Different Me,
Different Me,
Same God.
same guy.
Tell us a little bit about this project, because I've been privileged to hear a couple of the tracks. You know, I don't know if everybody's gotten that opportunity, but I like it, man. Tell us your mindset behind approaching this project.
It approached me, and it approached me to the point where my guts had to come to the forefront and release music that I'm not known to write, produce, and especially release. And so I needed people to understand, listen, it's still me, the person who wrote I Want to Say Thank You, the person who wrote All My Help, the person who wrote stuff for material for Reverend Clay Evans and the Williams Brothers, which are all traditional songs. It's still me, but I've always written contemporary, inspirational, soulful music. But when I became into my artistry as an artist, that's not what I was known for. And I was always hesitant to release it because I didn't think it would be accepted. And humbly, I have to say, I couldn't really execute it. I couldn't perform it. But I didn't think that it would be received. It's kind of like, we know Ron Howard. Yeah, but when he was a little boy, he was Opie.
That's right. That's right.
We know Jimmy Walker, but we also know him as J.J. Evans. So I did not want to be typecast to be Opie Cunningham
For the rest of your life.
for the rest of my life, and God gave me a sense of fortitude, if you will, or shall I say just guts. My pen never stopped writing inspirational, urban, contemporary music. I was just afraid to release it, and so I'm not now. I'm no longer afraid.
I empathize with the fear, though, because again, you are responsible for, I want to say, a lot of church anthems. You know, I just want to say thank you. I think every church, I think that every church across this nation has sung that at one point, or All of My Help. These aren't songs that are just known in the region, man.
Let me say this, and this is going to sound really, really vain. Okay.
That's the disclaimer.
I'm going on record, and I can stand by it. And I know it, even if the choir that released this don't know it. I know one of the greatest choir songs God allowed me to play a part in arranging an aspect of it, and that is Near the Cross by Mississippi Mass. He'll give you everlasting rest. That's mine. That's my. I know what God has allowed me to do in songs that the great Doug Williams and Joe LeGun recorded. I am a living testimony. I know. I know. My father told me years ago. He said, if you're gonna do this, do it, and I'll stand with you. I'll stand behind you. I've only had one 9-to-5 job in my entire life. So straight out of high school, I was doing music as a career, and I let that go, that particular job, but I remained doing music. So I've done music all my life. Like, there are things that people know, 401k, this, that, and the other. Like, I was so behind on knowing that stuff because the corporate world, blue collar, white collar, I don't know. I just know black and white keys.